All right, good morning. This is going to be the final assignment of this course, right? This is the video for the summary of class and feedback discussion, right? I hope you've enjoyed the class. You've learned a lot. I think the author of the textbook is very good. I read this textbook, early version of it, boy, probably about 1997. And it really changed the way that I look at a number of things about drugs and drug control and stuff like that. And I hope you've had that kind of transformative experiences too, right? Unfortunately, this was an online class. I think this class is better when it's face to face. You get more interaction and stuff like that. But it's a summer class, and it's nice to go ahead and get 3 hours of credit during the middle of the summer. And hopefully, most of y'all, and I think most of y'all have done really well in this class, and I like to see that as a professor, right? All right. I guess I have just a few kind of general statements about this class. And one is a constant theme throughout sociology that things are not as they appear, right? So probably when you took this class, you probably had some preconceived ideas about drugs, and I hope that you have reevaluated those preconceived ideas, right? And that's this debunking motif that's quite common, right? And dispelling of myths and things like that, that's quite common in sociology, right? I believe that currently in our society, we're sitting on a precipice about how to deal with drugs, to think about drugs, to talk about drugs, how we attempt to help people and, if necessary, control the use of drugs, right? So I think when we look back at the way that we've done things, we're seeing the errors of our ways, and we're at a moment where like, oh, we can't go on like we used to, right? But it's not really clear what we're going to do instead, right? And this is, sorry, I'm getting a call. I'm going to hang that up and call my wife back later. So we see that the way that we used to do things, like the war against drugs that Nixon started and Reagan and, late 60s, 70s, 80s, into the 90s, like, boy, drug war, in my opinion, and a lot of other scholars' opinions, caused more trouble than it solved, We mucked things up. A lot of people suffered and were harmed. We treated people as if they were morally inferior rather than sick and unhealthy, right? And what will we do different? And some of these things we've started with, like drug courts and stuff like that. But I think we have to do better. That when people who've had problematic substance abuse, like compulsive and impulsive patterns of drug use, whether it's illegal or illegal drugs, legal or illegal drugs, licit or illicit drugs, that when these people want to stop, we need to provide them help, right? And a lot of these people are not going to have resources when they hit the bottom, right? Hit their bottom. So, and I think this is, are we going to take care of each other or not, right? And boy, this is a big theme throughout society right now. And I think when people are at their bottom, it's in our interest to help them, We don't just do this because of them, although that's noble, valid cause, but we do this because it helps society, right? And that in society we have an obligation to each other, right? And we certainly have an obligation to the least, the poorest, the most downtrodden, the most mentally troubled, the most addicted and stuff like that, right? And in order to do this, to help people, we're going to need a lot of good sociological, psychological, public health research. And we're going to need to fund that. Not because it's good for the people who use drugs and stuff, because it's good for all of us. It's going to improve society for all of us, right? And again, like, my way of thinking is like these, for a long time we treated this like a criminal problem, like these people were bad or immoral or something like that. I think we should change the way that we look at these things and treat these people as if they are, because they are sick, they have mental problems, and it manifests its way in this, through substance use and stuff like that. And then other people that can use substances and not fall into these kind of abusive patterns, and leave those people alone, right? Now, I do believe we need a lot of research, and when we talk about controlling drugs, we need to have discussions about one substance at a time, right? Not all the substances, right? Each one should be treated differently because they have unique psychotropic effects upon people, and those effects vary from individual to individual, and even within the individual vary across the life course, right? So I'm not one that, like, should we make them all legal or make them all illegal or something like that. We have to have good, informed conversations based upon research findings about one substance at a time, right? And go where the research tells us, right? And in the past, I think we have had conversations, but they've been largely political or ideological, right? And not informed with good research and facts, right? And I think that's textbook covers a lot of that, right? All right, so that's kind of my summary on how I feel about these things. Of course, other people, disagree and stuff like that, and that's fine, right? And you might be one of them. All right, here's what I want you to do as far as your discussion, right? I want you to tell me what you liked about this class and what you disliked about this class. And I want this feedback to be constructive, right? Please don't tell me things like, I don't like the way his face looks, stuff like that, right? He says right too much in his videos. I know I do, right? Right. I want constructive feedback. I want you to tell me from your perspective how I can improve this class. Now, a lot of you might say, teach it face to face, and I will teach this in the future face to face. But I really want feedback about this online class, right? I've kind of gone back and forth, and I'm trying to find a happy medium about how much videos I should have in an online class. I used to have a lot, every chapter, record a lecture about an hour, 15 minutes long. People didn't like that, and I heard about it. And so I tried to reduce them. Maybe I reduced them too low, so I'm kind of reintroducing videos. Is there things in the textbook that you think I should have talked about more? Maybe things in the video you think I should talk about less, right? Do you like the discussion boards? Do you like more of them, less of them? Quizzes, tests, maybe you feel like I should have been more organized and stuff. I'm sure that's valid criticism. I do sometimes get a little disorganized. Anything that would help me improve this class the next time, that's what I want to hear from you, right? If you can't think of anything, which I kind of doubt, you can tell me that. You can tell me, it's a perfect class. Wouldn't change a thing, right? I doubt many of y'all feel like that, but if you do, let me know that too. All right, thank y'all. Thank you for taking this class during the summer. We're at the end of summer. Fall semester will start soon. Please stop by my office and say hi to me. I'll probably see some of y'all in my classes and stuff like that. And I hope y'all had a good summer. Enjoy these couple of weeks before we start back. Thanks for taking my class. Thanks for providing me with some feedback to help improve this class for the future. All right. You guys have a nice day. This is final assignment. All right. Enjoy your summer.